Well, since my last track day, which was number 7 here at Lakeside, I have done the California Superbike School Level 1 course at Morgan Park. It was outstanding and I learned a few really good things which I'm planning on practicing today back at Lakeside. The first one is their throttle control rule number 1, second is the 2-step, and third is the quick turn, and that one's my favourite. And I've also been playing around on the R7 on the street and figuring out why body position just seems to be eluding me and not feeling quite right. I think I've figured out why and what to do, so I'll be practicing that again today as well. Forecast is about 35 degrees Celsius today and storms developing in the afternoon, so we'll see how much of that I actually get to practice. Won't matter though, I'm more than happy to practice whatever I get a chance to, so let's see what unfolds. Session 1 coming up in about a half hour, I think. That's going to be after 9:30, but it is already really late. So my first session today, as always, just take it easy and get into a groove, but I will be particularly practicing 2 things from California Superbike School. The first one is throttle control. That's pretty much that through a corner, once the throttle is cracked on, it's held on and evenly and smoothly for the remainder of the turn. And the other thing I'm going to practice is the 2-step, which is looking for my tip-in point and then looking for where I'm going to choose to apex the bike. So that's a vision exercise. Yep, hopefully I'll do that and with my intention and then work out what I'll do for session 2. That was the first session over and done with. Hot out there as I thought it might be. It's still hot, but not as bad as I thought. Still had plenty of traction. I couldn't feel the tyres slipping at all, which is good. Well, obviously it's first session, so I wasn't really pushing it very much. I was going to be practicing 2-step and the throttle control rule, and I kind of did, but the biggest distraction for me is how much I wanted possibly from maybe a little bit too much practice on the R7, I don't know, but yeah, both conductors and hamstrings burning as I'm trying to hang off. But the good thing is, even though it was the first session, I'm naturally feeling like I'm getting into that hanging off position a bit better. Wasn't really able to go fast enough to test it out or possibly get my movement around. So I don't know, I think it might change what I do for session 2. I've got to figure out how I can move around on the bike but not wear my legs out. I nearly finished that session early just because of the sheer burning in my legs. So I might put the camera on the back of the bike and see how that's progressing. And what was I going to do? I think I was going to practice quick turn in session 2. So I can do that at the same time as really trying to find a comfortable position where I'm not working my legs out quite so much but still able to hang off a bit. That's session 2 done. Man, it's hot. I'm really feeling it. It doesn't feel so hot out there as I thought. I think I said that before. But the effect on my brain, I can tell, like, I'm kind of starting to hate. We've been up a couple of times, and because I'm pretty conservative, I had plenty of space to correct that. I came off, I came into the pits a bit early on that second session just because my legs were really struggling to really grip onto the bike. So no point trying to go faster in corners or practice too much because I'm just not hanging on. So yep, we'll just see. I'm going to try a 3rd session, and if I'm still feeling crappy, I might even call it a day. We'll see. So yeah, I think the goal for the next session will just be to gauge how try and play around with body position a little bit, see if there's something that I'm overdoing, if that's tiring out my legs more. Also, my laptop is not recording any data for some reason, I can't figure out why, and the camera's not staying. started noticing a bit of head shake coming out of the bus stop too, which I've never noticed before. I don't know whether because that corner's actually feeling a bit better. I seem to be able to get my hopefully for that one. So maybe I'm exiting a bit quicker than I have before. That's where the head shake's coming from. It's not violent. It's just barely noticeable, really. Let's see what session 3 brings. Well, that's session 3 done. It's just getting hotter. Actually, the coolest place is out on the track, I think. Sitting under this awning. You can tell. That session felt smooth just because I stopped setting expectations, or, well, not so much expectations, but even intentions of trying to really hang off the bike. So I just worked with what felt relatively comfortable. I practiced a bit of California Superbike school stuff, so probably mostly two-step, because I think today when my mind is affected by the heat, keeping my vision focused with the bike is probably the most important thing. And practiced a little bit of quick turn. That's fun, but I'm kind of not, I don't feel like I'm really pushing today. I don't feel like I can push today. So I guess there's just days like that, hey. So I'm still undecided about whether I do a 4th session. And if I do, it's really just to not go quick, not try to go quick, and just practice the sequence of things which I started feeling coming together in session 3 actually, like getting my bum off and back. I never did tell you what I figured out, did I, in the R7 about how to get my body position better. It was just sitting further back. It's too close to the tank. So I get my bum back, everything just opens up into the turn and it feels good. I don't know, I guess some things just can feel wrong and some things just feel right, and that's just feeling right when I manage to get my bum back. So yeah, I might just practice the sequencing of those things in the 4th session and maybe only go out for 4 laps. And then call it a day, I think. So no, today's track day did not quite go to plan, but that doesn't matter. They're probably more intentions than plans anyway. And for me, I think that's really important, is to have an intention for a day and for a session even. I did get to practice everything I had planned to practice, just not in the way that I had thought, not as structured. I think I only did the first session right through to the checkered flag. Or was it the second? I can't remember. But all the others, I came off early. The reasons for coming off early were my legs just being way too sore, and I just couldn't hold onto the bike in the corners. And the other reason was that I'm pretty sure the heat kind of affected my state of mind, I suppose. I didn't make any huge mistakes, but I did make a few little mistakes, like tipping into carousel too soon and then having to adjust my line partway through, and I got overtaken on account of that. Not braking as soon as I probably should have in another section, and when little things like that start happening, I kind of go, okay, one more lap, and then I exit, just to be on the safe side. So I did get to practice California Superbike School's throttle control rule 1, not on every single corner, but when I thought about it, that's what I was doing. I did get to practice two-step, and that actually did help me to maintain some focus when I was feeling a little bit tired. I think vision's quite important to put your attention to if you're just kind of mentally chunked out and can't think of all the different things that you're trying to work on. Quick turn, I did a little bit too, not as much as I would have liked. That's quite a lot of fun actually, is really just pushing quickly to tip the bike in fast. And when I was practicing that out at Morgan Park during the level 1 course, I loved it, and I found it really relatively easy actually, but it made such a difference to how the corners felt. They felt more controlled. I was kind of in the corner and at lean sooner, and then could really just think about exiting after that. And I also did practice pushing my bum back on the seat a lot more to be able to kind of open up my body into the corner as I'm kind of hanging off to the inside. I think it's going to take more than I thought to get my knee down. For me, Eva's a kind of a big bike, as in tall, and I'm relatively short, but I also have relatively short legs. So, getting my knee all the way out, I just wasn't prepared to do the lean angles today that would probably have been required to do that. But I feel like in a lot of corners I was getting closer, and that's really not the important thing. Hey, like, yeah, sure, getting our knee down is a milestone for motorcycle riding or sport riding in particular, but it's not the be-all, end-all. I think the much more important thing is how I feel on the bike, moving through the corners, and that opening up and just feeling my my inside knee just kind of relaxing out, feeling my body draped right across, or my arm right across the tank, and more of my chest kind of leaning toward the turn. That when I get that right, which isn't often yet, that just feels right. And I'm glad today I had enough experiences of that to kind of start laying down a foundation to build on. So even though my lap timer didn't work all day long, I'm not sure what's going on with that. Maybe the GPS sensor isn't working. And I didn't get much camera footage, by the way. If you want to use a camera on your motorcycle, especially for track days, especially in southeast Queensland, any time of year apart from midwinter, I would not recommend a GoPro, at least not the Hero 9 Black that I have. I have lost so much footage and had the camera kind of fall backwards to give you beautiful shots of the sky, but mostly just the batteries getting hot or the camera getting hot or whatever, and losing footage altogether. So I'm going to look for a better camera to get much better footage for the track days, partly to share with you, but mostly because I want to see what I'm doing, and I'm not getting enough to do that. So today did feel different, even though I didn't feel like I was breaking any lap records, personal lap records. It did feel better. I felt smoother. I was quite surprised actually at how many of my lines just were exactly where I wanted them to be, and how much more comfortable I felt with my body through corners. So even though it didn't go to plan, even though I only practiced a little bit of what I had planned to practice, I could feel it coming together, and I could feel it elevating my confidence on the bike and my smoothness on the bike. So I've got to call that a win. Today is actually the 1-year anniversary of me starting track riding. So I think when I think of where I've come from, I don't quite remember what my fastest lap was on my very first day. I think it must have been way over 1.5 minutes. And in that year, it's dropped down to, I think my fastest lap time is about 1:17. I want to say maybe 1:16, but who cares? 1:17 is still much quicker than the more than 1.5 minutes that I started out at on the Super Sport. So yeah, it's been awesome. I love this sport. I've never loved anything as much as I love track riding, especially on this bike. There are some videos out there criticising how these things handle, the 848s. Not my experience at all. It rails the corners. It feels so stable and confidence inspiring. And I can turn it plenty quick enough. And Lakeside is a technical track, right? So turning's quite important. And I haven't had a problem with this bike yet at all. Sure, I'm not pushing its limits. Maybe I'll have a different story to tell if I ever get to be able to push its limits. But for how I'm riding now, I love this bike. And yeah, I love track riding. So we'll see what 2025 brings. I'm just going to keep the same kind of attention to learning and developing, doing more courses as well, but always just about having fun. And I should also say thank you to all of the people that are watching this channel that have come up to me at Lakeside and said hello, and that the videos have somehow either inspired you to turn up and do a track day or whatever, just some kind of connection that you might have felt by sharing my experience at Lakeside with you. So thanks so much. I love meeting you all. A couple of you have become friends, which is even cooler. So yeah, that's awesome. So if you're watching this video and you turn up at Lakeside, feel more than welcome to come find me. Most of the time I'm at the Moto Garage group, and there's big signs so you can't miss it. But yeah, I'd love to I'd love to say g'day and just learn more from your track riding experiences too. Well, as far as motorcycling is concerned, I think this is my last video for 2024. Thanks for tuning in and interacting with me throughout the year. Have a great holiday season and Happy New Year, and we'll see you in 2025.